Hidon, you fucking freak, what the fuck is wrong with you?
So let's start. I will just read the tweets, show you the picture, and then I will explain. This is so crazy that you have to explain why it's important to understand wave timers. Yes, it's fucking unreal. Okay, so my tweets. Why people are even mad from this tweet? I don't know. So all wave timers until wave 21, exact timers are essential to set up play patterns, to simplify the game, competitive, to keep players honest, blah 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 blah. To play as a team, you have to be on the same page. To be on the same page, you need to understand when, how, and what to play on. You can make this very short, right? The same timers. The point of the tweet is not that you can go up to 21. The point of the tweet is to show that there are patterns in waves, right? These patterns you can play on. You could essentially just do this, and that would be enough. But the point of the tweet, I mean there's many points, but the point of the tweet is that if you see the patterns, obviously, you will understand that there's patterns in waves and that you can play on these, right? So my point is not that you have to understand every single thing in the wave or in you don't have to understand that wave 1 spawns here, wave 2, blah blah blah, so on so on so on. Everything, every single detail. The point is to show that there are actual patterns, right? And one way of using these patterns is that, let's say we want to play Herald. We want to play Herald and we want to play swap or move or whatever on the Herald. Okay, Herald wave is gonna be wave 12. That's the one that we're gonna play on. So let's say this is a pattern we want to play around. Okay, at 7 minutes on site, 6:52 on mid. Okay, we need to be on this wave and we need to be guaranteeing that we get push on this wave and that we can then get tempo advantage. Okay, so we could potentially slow push wave 11 with wave 12, crash wave 12, fuck to bot, while jungle covers bot, crash bot wave, get tempo advantage. Like, patterns in the fucking game that revolves around wave timers. Obviously, this is exactly the same. That is the point of it. The point is that it is the same. So Apple's saying, I really think just writing the set time of win is minute blah blah blah, and obviously just saying exactly what Veigar said, that waves spawn and it's the exact same. Yes. Okay, good. Fuck that guy, dude. Yes, I agree. And then I'm just coming up with the example that I just talked about, right? And then he's saying, why would you need to know the number of the wave for that instead of... And he's just misunderstanding the entire point of the tweet. My only question is, why do you need a whole screen for that? That is not the point. And then he's saying every high level coach you'll talk to will tell you to keep it short and simple. That is the point. This overcomplicates it. If it implies they should learn all of that, how much time is wasted going, like bot lane we play Herald wave 12 and the team is counting what time that is in the game. So he just completely misunderstood the point, which is kind of weird considering that, like, I wouldn't expect that from Ebels. He's saying for Herald 6:30 game timer, win lose blah blah blah. He's just making up a random example of, you know, you should talk about it here. And my point is that don't talk about it in-game. You already understand from scrims and the preparation you have that you should already know this before going into game. And then obviously if something happens, let's say my Darius gets solo killed into on because he's shit at the game, okay, then you adapt. But you cannot adapt to a mistake like that, and you cannot teach a mistake like that. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Yeah, so I'm just explaining this, right? You should already know what you're going to do before moving into the game, how you're going to execute. Your job as a coach, in my opinion, is always to, like, make sure your players are as prepared as they can be, so that you can play the game to the best of your ability. You cannot calculate the entire game. That is impossible, unless everyone plays perfectly. But you have to be... Your job as a coach to be nice to everyone. And then he's just talking about like this, which is weird. Shows that you don't understand. And I'm saying you cannot account for massive mistakes in game. Reacting to a mistake is a completely different thing. It's hard to do. If you made a huge mistake, players will react to it depending on the situation. If you have good players, they will react. And you cannot teach them to react to a mistake that is different every single game. That doesn't make any fucking sense. So I guess I will just use an example. I think they don't care. Like, so I had interviews with 35 plus ish. I have interviews with like, or I had like double interviews with 35 plus ERL players, and I asked about play patterns, and none of them had like a clear idea behind of it. Even after I explained it, my idea behind the game, right? My idea behind what you should do as a coach, I guess I'm just helping competition, but yeah, that's fine. My idea as a coach is that you already know going into game what you're supposed to do, right? You know that you're gonna draft. You don't play to draft. You draft to play. So you already know what you're going to do going into the game. And you don't go into the game not knowing what you're supposed to do. You go into the game knowing what you're supposed to do. So you draft to play, you don't play to draft. And my philosophy is that, for example, let's just go with this example. You already know going into the game that you're going to be drafting like this. And if you know you're going to be drafting like this could be Lucian Nami, this could be any aggressive Kalista, whatever. You could have a pattern which could be we laden wait, we split the map, and then we level 3 dive them. We level 3, we slow push, or we slow push like 1-2, crash 3, dive them. Something like that, right? And you know that you're gonna be playing like this. So these timers are important for that reason. Yes, it should be coming as a natural thing for most players to understand these things, right? But your job as a coach is to symbolize things. Obviously this looks very complicated, but if you know what you're supposed to do going into the game, then it's a lot clearer and everyone is on the same page rather than it being a random game where you flip and see who is the best, better players, better team, whatever, without no structure. Yeah, I guess I will show yours. Yours is good for this. This last thing, and then I will drag you in. So what you have here is spawn time, mid arrival, side lane. So levels, gold, obviously, sign. And we as a team are trying to, let's just say, what is this? 415 Raptor Grump respawn. Okay, your first place to play Drake. Yeah, but also the importance of what you are drafting is obviously important, right? You cannot just play like this without having drafted around it. And that's what a lot of people don't quite understand. I guess I will drag you in now. Hello, hello?
Hello, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, okay, we can go with that example as well. Let's say, just for the lulz, we go listen, and we go Lebla. What are we playing against?
Anything standard, I guess, will work for an example. Like, you could go like Lissandra plus a normal jungler, Maokai, Poppy. Poppy probably not, like.
Lissandra Viego, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Viego looks like.
Let's say we want to be playing around this mid jungle OP 2v2, very good 2v2. Even then you should plan things, right? Like Veigar is trolling and he's saying, just fight and get random lead. Yes, but let's say we want to play around this mid jungle OP 2v2. We should still have laners.
This is a good example, because like this is an example that you can play around these OP 2v2s, but until a certain timers, because then there is going to be timers where this OP 2v2 will lose against the opponents, because Lissandra, Viego has Ike Burst, lock in, and you're gonna lose at a certain point, but early you're gonna win. So you need to push your lead, and by knowing the timers, you will know already from the game, and everyone will be aligned on what's gonna be the play out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the 410, 420, whatever spawn it is on Raptors. Like, you can just play for that.
Yeah, you can play aggressively, right?
Yeah.
You want to play aggressively, and if you don't, you lose the game. Let's just go with that. I mean, obviously this is completely psychopath draft. This is VeigarV favorite draft. VeigarV favorite draft. Even in this situation, we could, let's just say we get mid push. Jungle hovers mid, we dive bot lane. Or we can't dive bot lane because they're really self-sustaining or whatever. We crash the wave, we go mid, we dive mid lane. like
I mean,
setting
a good
up
example
plays.
is Aphelios.
Yeah,
A
so-
good example is Aphelios. Aphelios has the reason why like Aphelios in IRL are usually very bad is because they don't understand timers. Like Aphelios has clear timers in his pattern of play. Like his weapon management, it all around patterns of play and timers. If you don't understand those timers, you will not be able to use his swap of or weapon or like the power spike of certain weapon, like 11 minutes or 9 minutes when you get like white and you melt towers. Like it's all around this kind of patterns.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, like everything is around wave timers, right? Everything that you want to do is around wave timers. And the importance of it is extremely important if you want to be a good team. And the fact that people don't understand that by this tweet is kind of insane to me.
I mean, I do think the point of the tweet, the controversial around it, it is the fact that it is not saying, and as you were replying to some NA girl that tweeted, it was like Karen Moser, I think, probably. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, like you tweeted to her, like you said, like you did not explain them what those timers are, and so like people just saw the number, the crazy number, like the 17, the 18, the 20 number. That doesn't make any sense because like obviously like you're not never gonna call that wave 17. Like no one cares what number is that. That's why I use the number like the letters like A, B, C, because that's something that you can use in game because you can predict what's gonna happen. But without this intention, most of the people just don't think. Just they see this crazy number, this list of waves, and say, "Oh, this is crazy. It's never gonna be useful." It is if you put it in a context. Like if you put a context and you explain them what it is, what you're gonna play, and what pattern you are gonna look. That's what I'm gonna get out as a good information. Because obviously, that list is just insane. Like there is no value in that.
Yes, right. And I mean, right, as I said, like I can't find anyone who disagrees with me because, yeah, I don't know why. I guess people are maybe afraid. I don't know. Yeah, I can make him a bit louder. 1 sec. Yes, Vega, come disagree. Wait 1 sec. I will finish with him, and then you can come in and you can play the devil card. So again, the point of the tweet, is not that I'm saying you should do this, right? It doesn't say anything. It makes you think. That is the point. And I guess that's not something that's possible to do on Twitter, I guess.
People don't want to think. People want just like the easy answer. Like with some player, it's even hard to teach them that waves matters in the pattern of play that you're gonna make. Like some player will even disagree with at least the one that I showed because like they don't understand it. But when like you brute force a bit with them, like they will understand the power and they become like a better player instantly. Because every player that will understand patterns will make like sure that he's gonna use that pattern. Like there is so many IRL games that I've seen like in the Pro Amateur Cup where people would pick Azir and then against a immobile mid laner and there was no pattern over like playing on 530 waves to remove the flash and keep playing on that immobile mid laner. The mobile mid laner would just straight up win every single time because there was no play set down as a team. There was no shift from the top lane, there was no jungler coming, no support move, nothing. Just because that's how they play. They don't think about all the possibility that will come. And that's also the reason why like certain champions are seen as bad. Like Renekton, Kalista, historically are all champions that are seen as bad because people tend to not think about all the timers that comes. Like, yes, obviously some other champions are better at certain timers, but you have to understand that in between the timers, there are other timers. And if you abuse all of them, you're gonna get a big advantage out of it.
Yeah. Obviously you can't play on every single wave, right? That's not the point. That is also not the point of the tweet. You have to choose the timers that you play on, and you might have to play defensively on some of the timers depending on how you draft. But again, as I said, you draft to play. You don't play to draft. and people don't understand that. Yeah, I don't know, but
Something that I would have added to yours, and actually to mine as well, it is that there is a clear pattern difference that I discovered that a lot of players don't know, for I don't know what reason. At 50 minutes, the cannon wave timer change, and that changed the speed of the play of the game, because before you had a cannon every 3, then at 15 you have a cannon every 2, which makes every player, every play possible to do in a lower CD, like in lower wave timers, because you tend to do plays on either off time of the cannon or on time with the cannon, which should get out as a pattern of play. That's what I would enlighten from your point of view. I would just put and make sure that everyone understands that when the wave of 15 hits, the speed of the game, the pace of the game will change. As soon as with the 29th wave, all the game is gonna be more fast-paced, because there is gonna be more cannons over the game, so more plays and more tempo to be able to generate.
okay, this is a good one. Even though you're trolling, I'm still gonna take it. Veigar is saying, sorry, but I just watched the LCK game before my match and covered their draft. If my players lose, I just show them LCK won with their draft. So, or our draft. What, Jake? Jake, shut the fuck up, you're an idiot. A lot of coaches in ERL, they see the top tier play, they pick, but they don't know why they pick it, right? There's no structure behind it, it's just pick it and then, guys, we will do well because that's the method, that's good. If it works for them, it will work for us. And as I said, I interviewed 35 plus top tier EL players, and it was pretty much the same response I got every single time. Okay, anyways, thank you for coming. I mean, you have the same point of view as I do, right? So I think I will just get Veigar here, and then I will make him argue the devil's side.
Okay, I would love to.
Will be fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
But that's OP strat, no? It's genius strat. Imagine you just draft, LCK draft, your players lose, and then they will say what you want to hear, right? They will say, but we are not LCK. We can't play their style, right? So then when they come with opinion oh, we should play this and that, LCK did it, then you can come back, right? And you can say, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You are so disgusting.
No, but seriously though, can you stop trolling just for 1 second?
No, I'm serious. Are you listening to what I'm
Yes,
hearing?
I'm listening to what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm serious, right? You copy LCK draft. Can you listen?
I heard you once. Yeah, just shut up.
Right? You copy it.
No.
And then your players say that they can't play it because they're not LCK. I'm serious right now. I'm not trolling. This is legit strat.
Okay.
And then when they come 2 weeks later, right, and they are demanding that you play Kalista because in LCK they did it, then you can say, but 2 weeks ago you said we shouldn't copy LCK because we're not LCK. Exactly, we're not. We're fucking NA. So draft Orianna, Orange Arven, and teamfight. Don't do Kalista. You understand?
Yes.
This is the truth.
So.
Now, anyways, your document sucks. I don't care about your info. I don't care about planning plays. I'm going into the game and I'm better than the guy. I'm gonna outplay him. So what? Why would I use my brain power on your stupid ass document about planning waves when I can just fight the guy? I just fight him. Look, I just jumped on him as the block. I just chained him and killed him. We just gank him. Just gank him, bro. Now what?
Yeah, just go flip the game.
But it's not flip. I just
No, you're just better. So it's not flip actually.
Instead of look at your document, I just focus on hitting my skill shots.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now I know at least why C9 lost.
Yeah, of course. It's my fault.
No, obviously I know that you're trolling to some extent, but why would people not have specific? So what I do, right, and what I will be doing is I will draft very differently to how maybe the normal draft goes, right? But I have it planned out to the best, to the most optimal way that you can do it, I guess you could say. And yet, to play this, I obviously have to explain to my players to the full extent how to play with this, right? So which I will be doing in the tryout, because okay, thank you for.
Now that's a good click on Hidon sub button.
Thank you, veteran, for gifting.
Yeah, so it is Veigar on the sub alert, but it's not him actually saying it. Should I remove the sub alert or no? You can just say it real time.
Now that's a good click on
Thank you, veteran,
Hidon sub
for
button.
gifting. What do you want?
No. It's
Shut
your.
up, go back on topic. You are so disgusting. Can you stop?
Shut the
going off
fuck
track
up.
and
Yes.
focus.
Yeah, I will remove the alerts. Anyways, you draft to play. Do we agree on that? You don't play to draft.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
When you draft, you need to recognize what's gonna hurt you and what point of the game is gonna be difficult.
Yes.
Right? Like if you have Yumi, generally speaking, getting Dove could be scary. Getting level 1 invaded could potentially be scary.
Yeah.
If you're drafting Hecarim, getting level 1 invaded on your Raptors could be scary, for example. Maybe enemy tries to deny you level 4. Stuff like that. If you have very ultimate reliant team comp, right? Could be pretty scary. So like, let's say I have like Lissandra, right? Really wants level 6, right? Then, okay, can we get really hurt before 6, right? Let's say, for example, our top side is really, really strong, and then my mid is really strong early. Are we gonna get outscaled? Okay, so then what plays do we have, right? Like, famous set play that we would see in the past is like, mid lane would TP to top and help on the Freeman dive, right? And that's where this document is useful. But I mean, like I said, and many people said, you just didn't need to do all the ways, but I understand why you did it.
Yeah. And
Yes.
as I said, right, the point is not to show all the waves, the point is to show the pattern and how you can use the pattern in the fucking waves. And yet some people misunderstand that, or misunderstood that, which to me makes no sense if you just think about it. Obviously, I know that you.
I mean, there are also people that refuse to want the game to be this way. Like, people don't want a game to be played strategically and planned out. Which, of course, is stupid, but there are people that are like that.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't want to accept it.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, right, like, for me, it's about playing as perfect as you possibly can play. And to do that, you need to have it mapped out. You need to not have the entire game mapped out, because that's not possible. But you need to have at least 0 to 10, or 0 to second Drake, mapped out to perfection, which I think is very, very possible if everyone is on the same page. And then, of course, yes, players can grief and players can play bad, but you cannot account for, let's just say, like, my Darius losing to Ornn, or my Darius not playing how he should be playing. An example of this as well. Not this one. Not this one. One sec, I need to find it. Also not this one. Give me 1 second. Yeah, there it is.
Actually, no, I can't remember.
So, this game. You see it? You see my screen, right?
Yeah,
I don't see a screen, I guess.
I'm watching your stream, but...
Yeah. 1 sec. You see it now. Let me know when you see it.
Yeah, I see.
So, this game, we know that we can shove wave 2 on top and we can gank him on bounce back, yeah? And we know what it takes to do that as a team, and we know and we should have mapped out what we're supposed to do, but because they changed their way of playing, or whatever, they don't have it mapped out, and it just becomes players have to play the game to the best of their ability, with no real structure. Like, obviously I've coached like 3 of these players, with no real structure. Is mainly just players having to react to what they see in the game, and that, as I said, like, that makes 0 sense to me. Why do you play on mistakes, and why do you play in the moment instead of planning out every single move if it's possible? So you agree, right, that you should crash with 2 and gank him on bounce back with the
On top
winning 2v2.
Yeah, on top side versus Wukong, yeah.
Yeah, with the winning 2v2. And what happens? He crashes the wave. Wave 2. Wave bounces, and then like they overcommit on mid for no reason. Like they don't need mid, right? They just need to lock mid and play the 2v2.
Yeah, but it's not like pause.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's particularly bad to get Talia's flash either.
No,
If
no,
they
no,
see an
no.
angle to do it.
I don't think
Ari
getting
will
the
get 6
Talia.
in 3 minutes and then...
Yeah, if you can get the mid shove, for example, and you can create numbers, like guaranteed numbers and 0% chance of losing, that's fine as well. But they start overcommitting for it, right? So they go for the play and they burn flashes, I believe. They can still play on the timer. They overcommit instead of just playing on the flash.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then they die,
ganking
right?
mid for the flash is good.
Yeah, of course. But that is my point. Like,
Yeah.
you need to go into the game knowing what you're gonna do, right? Not draft and then know what to do.
Yes. But there's no point to talk about this, because I agree.
Yeah,
The thing that
I
you
know
should be
that I know
talking
that you
about-
agree.
Yeah, but the thing that you should be talking about is what is bad about this. Like what... Because obviously this is not rocket science, right? To want to plan stuff, I agree. Teams
For
have
sure.
done this in the past, and players have tried to do this in the past, so what do you think is the problem to this? Like, I have some pretty clear problems that I can bring up, but I want to hear what you think. Like, why don't you think players do this? Except for, like, some people. Like I said, some people are just stupid and lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But teams that wants to win and coaching staff that wants to win, why do you think some of them choose to not do this?
So
Like, what can go bad
so
about this?
so there's a couple things that's like there's a couple things. So first of all, I think that if the team isn't built correctly, with players with the right mindset or the same mindset, with obviously same mindset as coach, you can have like an instant problem there, right? And then second issue is that if players, if not players, if coaches don't have the same philosophy, or again most coaches don't because they are noobs, then you find yourself in a situation where no one knows what to do, and then you end up in the situation where you could say like we play LB LeBlanc and we just have to outplay enemy, and if we don't then we lose the game.
Sure, but if I think coach having different view than players is good, as long as the player respects their opinion.
Mhm.
Like, for example, this year we picked Anivia in C9, which was basically like my suggestion purely.
Mhm.
Some players on the team didn't really like Anivia, but like I promised them it was gonna be good and convinced it. And I mean it was fucking OP in the spots that we picked it. I think if everyone agrees, your team will be very close-minded.
Yes, but that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm not saying that everyone has to agree. I'm saying everyone has to have the same mindset. You don't have to have the same like way of looking at the game necessarily, but you have to have the same mindset. A lot of people are close-minded, especially veterans. They believe that the game should be played X way, or one way is better than another, and then you have this close-minded atmosphere where one guy thinks this and then another guy thinks this, and then they will never come to terms, and then you have a shit situation. So if
So
you
how
have,
do you think people should learn this?
I don't think that you can necessarily teach someone to think differently if the person doesn't want to think differently. So what I believe is that you should already from the start of making the team, you should have a very, very detailed way of tryouting to get the best possible start, rather than having a start where you already kind of fucked up.
Right. But the thing about tryouts that makes tryouts really useless for this, because the way that tryouts work, every tryout I watch being played, it's just players people just think is good and they want to play with.
Yeah, so
And they just play with them and then that's it. There is no real reviews or talk or interviews about their game sense and philosophy as a human. They
Yeah.
just play the game, and if they played good and the players like them, then they
Yeah.
get signed.
and that
So
is
you
true.
can't do this through tryouts.
That
unless
is
you
true.
change the
But
tryout process.
right now, I am actually running the tryout. Bifrost. You know Bifrost, right? I'm running the tryout
Yeah.
there. They gave me full permission to basically do it my way. I will just show you, and then you can tell me what you think, of course. I guess you can. I guess I will just read it. Or you want to read it or no?
You can read for me.
Okay, I'll read for you. So basically, I have like a 3-layered staged tryout, and I've picked players according to how I know the players, right? And not according to name, but according to what I believe. Like I believe how they see the game. Not similarly, but at least have the open-minded mindset. So layer 1, we talk about the optimal way to play the game and to structure a team in their own opinion. You know, they are the coach. What would they do to have the best possible way of drafting or the best possible way to play the game in their own opinion? To make sure that I'm actually picking the right players and I didn't choose the right or the wrong one, like the wrong one, right? And in layer 2, we go jungle and lane, what's, and the goal is not for me to coach them. The goal for me is to see where they lie, right? Like what is their level and how do they view the game. And then a personality test. Obviously, I only use this personality test to make sure that I don't have 5 people that are the same way, because then you can't evolve, right? You need to have different personalities to evolve and be better.
Of course.
And then layer 3 is where the games get played. And at this stage, there will obviously only be 3 people because I don't need 500 people for this. And then there will be 2 different sets of scrims with different play patterns and different ways of playing the game. And before the actual scrims, I will teach them as I would teach a team. So let's say I have 5 players, and instead of them just drafting and them just playing the game, I will show them what I want, I will teach them what I want, and then they play the game. As it was a team game, rather than having just 5 people go random scrim and then they play and then someone plays well. Okay, we want that guy because he played well, even though it has 0 fucking context to anything.
Right. So then my problem with that, because of course this is good, right? But so then my problem with that is anyone that is smart at getting a job through interviews and stuff will just tell you what you like to hear. And when you're very vocal about your view on game and how you think, it's going to be very easy to fake your personality to match what you like.
That is true.
So how would you stop somebody from bullshitting you?
So, I mean, there's a couple of things, but one, I think it's pretty easy to tell when people are bullshitting. And then the second thing is, you can't bullshit in a VOD, right? You cannot fake your information. Either what you say is correct or what you say is wrong. And you can't fake that if coach knows what he's doing. Yeah,
I agree.
So,
you can fake your answers and stuff, but
yeah,
you
exactly.
can't fake your proofing gameplay. I think if you go back in time before the tryout and let's say you pick out a player you like, and to find out if he bullshits you or not, you'll watch the tryout games and his response and stuff, and then you watch his previous gameplay.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and you can compare. And if somebody's purely bullshitting you, then it should be pretty clear in their gameplay patterns in their previous tournament compared to your tryout.
Yeah. Exactly, right? And obviously I have the advantage that I know a lot of players personally, and that obviously kind of mitigates the bullshit part. But some of the players I don't know fully, so obviously you have to be aware of that as well. But this to me is the right way of doing things, rather than, I mean, obviously it could be more detailed, but I've spent a lot of time this last couple of weeks to get to this point, in terms of the tryout, right? And I would much rather spend 100 hours in the tryout to get the right team and avoid 300 hours of useless garbage.
Well, of course.
And
so starting tryouts early is good.
Yeah. And to me it makes, again, no sense to send 10 people in game. They draft themselves, they don't really know what they're supposed to do. There's no patterns, there's no nothing. And they don't play like a team. And then the guy that plays good, they get picked. And, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I think it doesn't make any sense to anyone with any sort of brain. Yeah. But I mean, we're getting a little bit off topic, but I guess I already answered the tweet thing. But what do you think about that?
I think it's good, but I mean, like I said, I know teams and players that have tried this approach before, and it always fails because it's done wrong. I think if it's done good, of course it'll work. But so first of all, you have to start this day one of the team. This can never ever be done in middle of split.
Of course.
People's mindset and team philosophy and team attitude can never ever change in middle of split. So this has to be day one, and you have to stick to it. If you do one mistake with something like this, everyone will stop doing it and doubt you. And another thing is that the players will not have done this before, most likely.
I mean, I obviously
means-
mentioned that as well, right, in the tryout, but yeah.
Well, of course, but they have not done this before, which means that it is going to be new to them, which means it's going to be harder, which means that it's going to become kind of like a grind and more work put in, which of course isn't bad, but more work put in means more effort, which means more potential to, for example, burnout and stuff like that, which is always going to be a thing. Whenever you try to put in more energy and work into something, then burnout always has to be a question.
Yeah. So, to that, because I yeah, it's true that if you have to put in more effort, and maybe, yeah, if you have to put in more effort, of course you can like reach burnout. But I also believe that if scrims are done correctly, and you don't go, like, let's say we are practicing play patterns, we're practicing some play patterns, and these play patterns we need to get better at. That if a chain reaction happens, instead of using your time talking about the chain reaction and things that shouldn't happen and things we aren't practicing, I would much rather spend 10-15 minutes, maybe even less, on what we are trying to practice and how to optimize that according to how we draft, knowing that we're gonna be drafting, you know, X way, rather than like exhausting the players and making the games or the scrim really exhausting, because a lot of people, I have done this method before in another team. When you have this structure and discipline, scrims are really fucking enjoyable because you're working towards something, right? Rather than someone makes a mistake or someone makes something that basically like ruins the entire game or it ruins the entire patterns that we're trying to get better at. Then the coach just continues to talk about the chain reaction that should never happen. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, it works well until you get like some shitter like Den Voxne, for example. Like, then what do you do?
Someone who talks a lot and doesn't understand when to shut up? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and doesn't understand the game properly, and then just plays bad and then blames the team. What do you do? Then the atmosphere is bad, no?
I don't think that the Voxne is like that, but I do agree that he talks a lot about random shit. But if you have the respect of the players as a coach, you can also tell them to shut the fuck up, right? When they need to shut the fuck up, and then focus on what you need to focus on.
Or you can just sub yourself in and play better.
Yeah, I mean that as well, right? That as well. That is an option.
Just quick Elise in support there, and
GG. That's the game right there. No, but you understand what I mean, so I guess I don't have to elaborate. But
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I just think biggest problem will be when emotions happen. Like you guys start, let's say you get on a rough start, people will start to doubt the project and doubt the structure and stuff, you know.
I mean, obviously every team has like rough periods once in a while, right? I think thinking that it's never, like it's not gonna happen is like imaginary thinking. But I also believe that if that happens, I think it's very hard for that to happen in that specific ERL, right? I think the players that I will have are just simply good enough to carry through. But that's like it's not about the short-term success, it's about the long-term success, right?
Sure, but then also, if your players are that good, then how is that proof that the structure works?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Maybe the players are just that good that the shitty structure and shitty drafts, they just
Well,
hilarious.
I mean, that's true. That is true. Like if players are that good, I mean, they're not gonna be like a. No. If the players are that good, of course they can maybe carry through in situations where other players with less experience or less knowledge couldn't carry
like,
through.
I mean, if I was playing, right, like I would just win worlds already, but it'll be like too simple.
Yeah, I mean, same of course, but it would be with at least one trick support only. No, but yes, like I think as well, right? If you play your own game in IRL with very limited prep on enemy, like just the basic limited prep on enemy, you will probably win. I think people don't have like this sort of structure, and people aren't willing to put in that amount of work. And I think if you have that, you will always just be in a better spot, even if it, let's say it doesn't work. The structure needs to be implemented if how can I put this in the right way? The structure has to be implemented for a team to be better regardless. It's always better to have like structure than it is to have just pick random champs or pick champs that are meta, don't know why, and just play them. Do you agree?
Sure.
No, say what your opinion. You can't just say sure.
No, I'm just thinking.
Okay,
For now, I agree. I will always tell you if I disagree.
good. Yeah. You have other questions? Else you can play no. Do you have other questions?
I'm thinking. No, I mean, just like I said, this just has to be a thing from day one and make sure every player agrees to it, because if
Yeah,
they
of
all
course.
if they all agree to it, then they don't have an excuse in the middle of the split when they int and complain.
Yeah. Like, okay, I will show you again, because why not?
But there's no way to show me, I read this.
Yes, but I will move forward
I'm
further
not
down.
reading it, I refuse.
No, you don't have to read it, idiot. Just listen. Like I'm making like this for example. Today was today. Like today, I told them everything they need to know, like everything they need to know, and they have to understand that this is the way that's gonna happen, and this is what's gonna happen. And if you don't agree to it, you are more than welcome to leave whenever you want to, right? Like that is, I've mentioned it 3 times now.
Yeah, of course.
2 times.
No, I'm saying you need to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Or there's just no point, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, like, the only way this can go bad is if players start to disagree and not commit to it.
For sure.
So, like, because what always happens is, like, people will play and scrim like normal, and then in the middle of the split, the team will realize, fuck, we need structure. And then it will try to add structure. But that's so hard when, for half a year,
Yeah.
you've had, like, Clown Fiesta scrims and no structure, and then you randomly try to implement structure.
Yeah.
And then it also seems less, like, genuine, because it's like, where did this side of my coach come from? Why is he doing this now? You know?
Yeah.
So it gets taken like less serious.
Yeah, of course. And this is what I mean. Like, if everyone agrees to the project in the beginning, and everyone agrees that this is what's gonna happen, you don't have any excuses. And the same goes for me. This is the structure I will have. If I don't succeed, then it's on me. Right? Because I had my pick on the players, I knew what I was gonna do. I have a super structured way of doing things, and if it doesn't succeed, then it's on me. But I still believe that it's, no matter what, that it's the best way to do things. To have as much structure as you can, without it being just random things that overcomplicate things, right? As structured as you can,
Yeah.
but as simple as you can. so that people don't fucking burn out because everything is like every scrim is new, champions are new, the way we play is new, the way we teamfight is new, patterns are new. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah, I guess
Sure.
that's what I had to say about that. Yeah. Do you have questions? Other questions? Well, if you disagree, you can also say it. Of course.
I'm gonna eat the dinner now and watch the stream.
Alright, alright. Eat,
See ya, man.
eat well or whatever. Yeah, see you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hello, hello, hello.
Holy shit. Okay.
Wait, I actually need to turn you up. Man, this new
I
Halloween,
need to turn you down.
this new Halloween Discord thing, like, I need to find a way to mute it. It's actually getting ridiculous at this point.
What? I just put disturb not. Is that
I
is
I
that
don't.
is that the near sky threat? Yeah, it's the near sky. How can't win NLC?
No comment.
Okay. No. So just say what you wanted to say, or what you wrote to me, and then we just talk from that.
I mean, we can, like, talking about the reason why people actually hate it.
Yeah. Why do people hate timers? Let's say let's go with that. You can just use the X7 you had in the.
Let me open your tweet, 1 sec.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's most of the time, like, the things like that are in the tweet, I mean, it's not bad info, you know, like, it's obviously nice info to have, but people just don't like it because it forces them to do new things or forces them to play in a way where they don't want to play as.
Mhm.
Like, they want to play by feeling, and they've always played by feeling because this is what they do in solo queue, and then suddenly to adapt in competitive, that's, like, just something that most people are not comfortable with, and that's, like, a really big problem for a lot of pro players, because they want to do what works for them in solo queue, or what got them the job, or what got them to pro players in the first place.
Okay, so there's a couple of things to that. First of all, when you play solo queue as a competitive player, you should play like it's competitive, right? To the best of your ability. You cannot have.
I mean,
no. Let's say.
I disagree. Not on this server. Maybe in Korea, yeah, but not on this server.
No, even on this server. Like, if you play 1k LP plus or maybe 900, 800, whatever, people understand like the basic concepts.
Hell no. Like,
yes, they do. They understand in some games, not every game, but some games.
Okay, in some games, yes, but then you randomly get Exorc on your team and you get Wufo top, and then like there's no way you can play like it's competitive.
And then you dodge. Then you pick X button. You have the option to do that. So I will explain. Yeah. Shut up, Veigar, shut up. If you, in competitive, right? In my opinion, in my view, in competitive, you should always have structure. You should always have a way of playing the game, or you should draft to play the game a certain way. You shouldn't play to draft, right? As I said. So let's say we play on this team. Let's say we play on Team Hidon here. In Team Hidon we play Draven, we play Kalista, we play Lucian. Yeah, guys, okay. There's ads, 1 second, I will wait. There's ads. We play Tristana. We play very aggressive early, but we play very early aggression, right? If we play early aggression, we should also for solo queue most of the time people will play like dog junglers, right? Because that's what they play in competitive.
Yeah. I mean, they would just play like either like you have like the strong invading champs like Graves and stuff, or people would play like Lee Sin and Nidalee in solo queue.
Yeah, and for the most part, you can say, let's say, I mean, from experience, you know, I play high elo for most of the time. From experience, you can say, we slow push 1-2, we crash 3, we can dive. You know, maybe not with mid push into bot. I think people don't understand that. But shut the fuck up, Veigar, you piece of shit. You can say stuff like that, and people understand what it means in higher elo, right?
Yeah.
People understand what it means. They might not do it, but you should still say it.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, most people at least do. There are some special creatures on the server that for sure do not understand that.
Of course, but in those situations, you just have to adapt to the best of your ability. Like, let's say in solo, not in solo queue,
Yeah,
competitive. In
Yeah,
competitive, we fuck up, then we still have to adapt. So adaptation is still important. But going into the game, we should have plans and we should have structure.
Yeah.
You can't plan it perfectly, playing solo queue, but you can have basic structure, at least.
I mean, yeah, for the first like 45 minutes.
And a good example of this is, let's say you play lane. Let's say you play mid lane. You play maybe, I don't know, a Seer into Yone, or a Seer into whatever. You get push. You can map out your entire laning phase. And then, of course, maybe something like happens, right? Where my Diana, she goes and she runs it down into lane, and then she's dead, and then we have to adapt maybe. Let's say the game goes as planned, then you have mapped out your laning phase and you actually improve because you had a plan going into the game. So why wouldn't you have the most structure that you can have playing solo queue, rather than having just I go, I fist, I play lane, and then hope for the best. No structure, no understanding. I fight on every slow push because that's fun, instead of doing what's right and doing what you should do in competitive. Why would you not consciously change your decision making, rather than just let's say okay, I will use this example just because Veigar's here. We have 3D on top lane, and 3D likes to not play the game as if it's competitive play, right?
I am not a part of this.
We let's say we crash the third wave, and then we start fighting on slow push. Why would you do that if you wouldn't do that in competitive play? Why?
I mean, if I can answer your question, I think what you say is true. You can map out the first few minutes of the game. You can map out your laning phase. But this is only if all 5 people on your team and all 5 people on enemy team have the same mindset. If enemy mid has the mindset, I will fight level 2, then you have to fight him level 2. Like, you have no other options.
Depends on lane, but yes.
I mean, yeah, but you get the argument I'm trying to make. If your jungler decides, this guy on mid, he ended me last game, I'm not coming to his lane, I'm not covering his slow push, good luck dying. Yeah, good luck planning your next game out. Because the issue is, it's not only about like how you can map out the first few minutes or the rest of the game, it's also about despite towards other people, hatred towards other people, past feelings or past experiences with people in the game that you have. And obviously, there's not forget that if you do one wrong thing or type one wrong word in this server, people on your team or enemy team will men's boom completely, run the game down, and then, you know, yeah, okay, I guess you can say, okay, at least I learned the first 4 to 5 minutes, but it does happen quite a lot. And I mean, you know this as well.
Yes.
But I do generally agree that if all 5 people on team, or at least 3 to 4 people on the team have the same mindset, you can do it. But I just don't think on this server it's a very high possibility that happens.
Yeah, but that is like the worst fucking excuse ever, right? So someone has hatred. Let's say we play Caitlyn Lux on one side, and then other side plays, I don't know, fucking Aphelios, Draven, whatever, like low range.
Yeah, I got what you mean, yeah.
Low range, whatever. Of course, the way that we play is mapped out. The way that we can play as with jungle is mapped out.
Yes, but if my jungler decides to path away from Caitlyn Lux because he doesn't like that we have Metro Archer 1.4 KLP on Caitlyn, like, how can you practice matchup?
But you cannot... Like, the thing I don't get with that logic, because that doesn't make sense. Like, you don't have any control on the people you have in your game,
I mean,
right?
Of course not, but you have to understand that this is how some people like take an approach to solo queue, right?
Yeah,
so it has to be in a way where you think like, in solo queue it's really hard to do practices. Because in competitive you obviously should, right? In a competitive, like, even blitz games and stuff like that are really useful for things like this. But in solo queue, I just don't believe it's like actually like a common possibility, let's put it that way.
It is not guaranteed. I will agree that it's not guaranteed that you get, you know, the right situation. Like, let's say in this matchup we get to do whatever we want. We can crash, like, let's just say wave 3 or wave 4, I don't know, wave 3 most likely. Crash wave 3, and we can do what we want with that. Like, we can always map out what we're gonna do. And if the jungler doesn't respect or the jungler doesn't do what we want to do, then we adapt, right? Because
Yeah.
in competitive play, you would also have to adapt if your jungler is very stupid. But of course, you get to talk to the person and you get to map out. But as I said, you shouldn't care about what other people think or what other people are gonna do if you can map out the lane yourself. Of course, random things happen in game and random things happen all the time, and people have spite and whatever to each other.
Yeah.
But if you're a competitive player, why would you care about that? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Of course you shouldn't, but I think there's not that many people that would actually queue up with that intent. Like.
Yeah,
here.
and that is fucking stupid.
Yeah, of course, I'm not saying it in other regions is like way better, or other people queue up with that intent on other regions, because let's say Korea, for example, right? If there's 4 Korean players and 1 Chinese person on the team, and the other team has 5 Korean players, I can tell you that the team with 5 Korean players will win, because the 4 people just will have less motivation to win, which is obviously disgusting, right? But here, I think it could be the same thing. Like, for example, let's say you already had 2 dodges, and then you get Wufo on team, and then you say, ah shit, I have Wufo on team. You slightly grind back from your chair, you go lay a little bit more down, and you try less. Like, this is just what some people do, you know? And if you have 2 or 3 of those people on your team, and you're trying to play out your laning phase, it can really get impacted, in my POV. And if your laning phase gets impacted, then people might maybe get tilted, or people might feel like solo queue is so bad, I don't want to play solo queue, and then they get really distracted and stop like actually trying to practice, or like lose mind from practice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I am aware of this. I'm aware of this.
I mean, yeah, Veigar, I know what you mean. Like, I know what you mean if Wufu is good, but it's just an example, you know? It's just because he has like a strong name.
Yeah.
Or like people have like strong despite towards him, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it doesn't make any sense at all to play the game like that, or to think like that, if you want to compete and you want to make a legitimate difference.
Sure, Yamato, Steph, Duana, all good examples.
Yeah, and as I said, people are gonna int, people are gonna grief, and people are not gonna play the same way as you, and that's fine, but you can't control that.
Yeah, of course you can't.
Of course you can be mad, and I am no saint. I am fucking flaming people if they play like that.
Yes,
like, I will not say I will not do that. I will do that. If people act like that, I will do that. And if... Yeah, I mean, you should always do that. You should hold people accountable, right?
So, sorry to interrupt you, but my follow-up question to that exact point is, would you agree that with in the beginning, where you actually map out like your laning phase, let's say you're playing your most famous Yasuo mid, you're mapping out your laning phase, you're playing ideal, then you flame someone, do you still think after you flame someone or after you get annoyed, you will still map out your game and try your absolute best to win and play 100%? Because from knowing you, I know you definitely played worse, for example, after you flamed someone a couple of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also like an issue to talk about, at least. Because I think it is good to map out like your first minutes and whatnot, but I think sometimes it's just a bit difficult.
Yeah. As I said, sometimes things happen that you have no control over. Maybe you have someone who wants to int. Maybe you have a jungler that doesn't understand what priority means and just goes and invades for no reason, and it costs you your entire laning phase. But then you you can't control that, and then you just stop. Like, let's say you stop reviewing after that, because the rest of the laning phase or the rest of the game isn't relevant anymore.
Yes,
but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, continue playing or whatever. It means that you you should obviously still do what you can and adapt, because in competitive game you're still gonna have to adapt. But
I mean,
but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't map out. And this is the exact same thing when it comes to playing the game, except you know what is gonna happen. You know what you can do, and therefore it makes no fucking sense to take the solo queue approach to competitive play.
Yeah, I mean it is true. Like even after like stuff like this, I'm saying you can map out. Like you can, but I think it's really difficult to continuously do this in solo queue here in Europe because of the previous mentioned reasons. 1 and 2, I think if you do this for 1 game, sure. It's 2 games, happens again, sure. But by let's say maybe game 5 or 6 of the day, like it's gonna get really, really mentally taxing. Right? Or you disagree with that?
Yes, but I also agree that, or not agree, but I also think that if you play competitive play, you would max play like 2 games of solo queue, and then you would have to play
I mean, sure, yeah.
6 to 9 scrim games a day.
I mean, 6 to 9 scrim rates would be ideal, yeah, that's how they do it in Asia, but I mean, EU has very notorious for its 5 scrim game blocks. Because there's not that many teams that actually want to do more games. Some teams do evening blocks, but like that's about it.
But as I said, like if you play team, right, and you want to practice your team things, then you obviously shouldn't try to do it to the best of your ability in solo queue. You should do it in fucking scrim.
Yeah.
And it's not about doing more, it's about doing it smarter, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 1 scrim game in terms of improvement is the equivalent of 4 solo queue games or whatever, right? This is just random number.
Yeah.
I would rather do 6 games of scrim with pure intent and with pure structure than I would do 10 games of solo queue and get the best that I could out of those games. Let's say after 5 minutes of 5 of the game is completely pointless and it doesn't make sense to play because it's just a pure chain reaction and people just don't respect the basic fundamental rules of the game.
Yeah, completely agree.
Right? Which is why it doesn't make any sense to do that, like what I just mentioned, right? And I don't.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
To reply to veteran, can we stop using Asian teams do more? I mean, they don't really do more. I think like they overscrim a lot of the times, and they will just play same matchups like for multiple games a day. Like, how do I say this? They definitely do more scrim blocks than EU, but I think EU does a lot more like after scrims, like 2v2s and stuff like this, and actually like useful reviews. It's a lot better here than in Asia. Like, I don't think Asian teams do more. They just play like they just do more blocks, like quote unquote blocks. But EU, I think like coaching stuff wise and stuff does a lot more than the Asian teams. Just FYI, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah. I mean, to elaborate on that, I think a good way of doing it is, or a good way of saying it is, you know, how people build in Asia, and how people, I mean, I wouldn't say runes necessarily, but how people build in Asia is completely different to how people build in EU. They think more about that, but I think what Asia does is they play the game sub-optimally, but they do it really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Asia is just hands.
Yeah, they play the game. I wouldn't say it's the right meta or whatever. I wouldn't say it's the best meta or the perfect meta. But what they do really fucking well. Which is why they always will win until someone does something optimally and do it well.
I mean, the problem is that like some EU teams or some EA teams just try to play like Asia, or they say like, look, they did this in LCK and LPL, we should try it too, and then they try to copy their playstyle while they're just worse at it. And I think this is like a big reason why like this year looked like that bad for EU at Worlds.
I mean,
like,
just for West, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, not, I mean...
I think it's the same for both.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is the both, because I think, for example, there's definitely players in Europe, like, I mean, you have people like Comp, Hans, I mean, even Hansama even was in the NA, like, there's Comp, Hansama, Liola, like people like that, like, they can easily, like, match these top players, like, if they actually play really well, but I think there's a lot more that goes into that. I think that's a completely other discussion to have.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of got off track from what I initially wanted to talk about, but there's nothing more to talk about, so I just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Apples, are you here? I guess I will talk to you. I want to see what you have to say. Niels just left. No buy or anything. Okay, just explain like what you think of the tweet. I guess we just go back to
I watched
that.
your stream and the tweet, and like, no, there's quite a few things.
You can explain what you thought back then and then what you think back now, if there's like a difference.
No, because when I saw the tweet, I was like, okay, yes, you need to understand like timers, okay, of the waves, whatever. You need to have a plan for what to play, like when in the game, on what wave, sure. The thing that bothered me, and that's why I even commented, is that yes, okay, you can post 21 waves of it to put like the example of like, yeah, see, there's a pattern. My whole point is that like, yeah, that just makes it look good. That just makes you seem smart. It's not actually, and as I said, it's like you can write 1 or 2 sentences of that, but it just doesn't look as pretty, and it will get 50 likes compared to 450. And that was my whole point. I never disagreed with you. I never disagreed with the fact that teams should have structure, that you should have a plan for the draft or like what you want to do and then draft accordingly. And then practice on certain timers, how does your comp play, whatever. And like the way you spinned it, I think was really just how do I say that? Like you overblew it, you know? Because it's like, because then you instantly start talking about okay, these coaches all don't know what they're talking about. It's like, oh, if you disagree with this, I mean, haha, how could you disagree with this? But it's like, I don't think anyone who's like not coaching a 4th division would disagree with you. I only said that you're making, like, to me it was just like, I'm making myself look smart. And that's how the tweet
do you think that I need to look smart? Do you think I need to do that, first of all?
No, and I also told you in DMs, I meant no disrespect. I just told you that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things to that. So a lot of things that you said, you know, I didn't ever mention, and you just assumed something.
No,
which is a very dangerous thing to do.
You need to go also into the aspect where you're like, you still kind of have my tweet open, and that's it. And then it's like, oh yeah, so these coaches don't know these things. It's the same way as you said. I didn't imply that like. You should learn all of it, but yeah, you posted 21 waves of it. It's like, how do you understand it?
So that's, yeah, exactly. So do you think that the point of the tweet was to post 21 waves, or do you think the point of the tweet is to post that there's a pattern and you should look to play on patterns and wave timers rather than to think, okay, I need to learn every single wave, I need to learn spawn time of every single wave, tier 1 timer of every wave, and center of the lane. Do you think that?
I'm just saying that you didn't have to make it that way. And yes, Crow has a point. You're ignoring what I said.
What did I ignore? So I'm trying to explain myself so that you can see what I mean, rather than...
No, I know what you mean. The whole point is just you didn't need to make...
Yeah, I understand. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah, and you don't have anything to explain to me because I understand
yeah, so I agree with you that... as I said in the beginning of all of this, you don't have to post 21 waves. You could post 200 waves for that matter, but that's not the point. Yeah, you could, no, not 2, 3.
Okay, 3.
Yes, sure. Because, yeah, good. And I agree with you, as I mentioned and said, but you just started assuming, you know, things, which is a dangerous thing to do in 2022. You should not assume. That can get you in trouble.
No, look, you need to understand also how people work and how stuff is perceived on the internet, because you can say something and you can mean it a certain way, but you also need to consider every angle of how different people with different experiences, history, scars perceive things, and you need to cater to all of those. And you need to also look at like how silvers and like 14-year-olds and whatever look at what you're tweeting.
But is this meant to be for silver players? Is this meant to be for those players that don't even know what a cannon minion is?
Yeah, but what if they read it? You still waste their time by them thinking, oh, what if I learn all of this?
But I don't care about Silver Jimmy. That is not the point.
I call them Silver Scotty, okay? There's a difference.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is not Silver Jimmy. The point is the competitive players. As I said, I spoke to 35 plus ERL top players, and none of them really like quite understood what play patterns meant. They understand, like they realized it, right? Because you know these wave timers are basically locked in their brain, but they don't think about it actively. That is the fucking problem. Yeah. As I said, I didn't say that this was needed. When did I say that? I didn't say once that you need to learn everything.
Yeah,
and this is supposed to make you think. This is not supposed to like say this is what you need to do. Boom, right? Because then I would have said that.
But you know the file that Sotsa posted?
This one? Wait, you mean this one?
Just the one he has.
Yeah, this one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wouldn't that one just do more and still provoke thoughts and like just do more for people?
So what I think about this one is that this is obviously a way that you can use the timers, but it doesn't really get you to think. This is just okay. This is what he does.
But
Boom.
look, if your post makes you think,
Mm-hmm.
but still, what useful knowledge does it bring? What did you tie it into? What did you connect it to? Like how did you explain that? Like, okay, you need to have structure. You need to play in patterns. It's like, okay, can you give us an example? Like, this is just buzzwords.
So
Can you do something?
so let's say Apples, your team, right? Let's go with your team. Team Apples. It is not my job, because I'm not your coach, to teach you what patterns that you need to play in Team Apples. Right?
Yes.
My job is to get you to think. And then when you think...
Your job is to make yourself look smart because it's part of your brand, yeah.
No,
course.
it's not.
That's why we tweet.
I mean, of course, it is important to
look
tweet,
smart.
right?
Yes.
But it's not important to look smart if you already know and people know.
Not chat,
you're
don't
good.
meme, I do the same. Coaches who do content, we do it for a purpose. If you look smart, more teams will hire you. I'm guilty of the same shit.
Yeah, but that's... I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true if you do content, obviously. Like, Veiga is a good example of it, right?
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, I mean...
The people who are the smartest will never tweet anything about how they do things because they just reduce their value. What we are doing is gaining attention so we can get good opportunities, just like Veigar did.
Mm-hmm. I think... yeah, I mean, it's true. But as I said, this is not an attempt to look good, because then I would say it, right? This is an attempt to get you to think.
But my whole point with replying to you so heated was like that, dude, to people who know what's going on, that's the only way it looks like.
Yeah. And as
Because you
Evan
said it's targeted for... Sorry for interrupting you.
No, go.
You said it's made for high elo players. But high elo players go at this and go like, yeah, there's 20 more ways to make this more useful.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ever got coached by me or by whoever actually know how to teach the game, how to actually put any structure behind the team, goes like, okay, what's the point? And those people should be considered the like high level players or whatever. And if they aren't, I mean, this is useless for them anyways. That's why I was thinking that if a player is already good, that you would consider him for your tryout. If he needs this, he's a waste of your time.
Yeah, and that's not the point, right? The point isn't he needed. The point is he needs to understand that we play on... Let's just say we play on the Herald, as I said, right? Okay,
Yeah.
We need to learn the timer, we need to understand the timer to get to where we want to be. And the timer is the important part. You need to focus on this one, right? You need to focus on this one and this one.
Mhm.
And as I said to you, and I will say it again, the point isn't to memorize the entire sheet. The point is to understand what it means and to get you
Yeah.
to think. And as I said, the only reason I posted this in the first place is because I interviewed 35 top tier ERL players and none of them had like not an understanding. They kind of understood, right?
Because look, let me send you something, okay?
Yeah,
Because
certainly.
yes, coaches are great, whatever, so good, but none of them actually. Look, the way I'm gonna say it, it's that like, you know how a lot of teams start the split, and then it's like one split, like 1 month in, you go like, okay, we need to like check after the draft is done, like what can the enemies do to us or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, and then it's like, okay, 2 months in, oh guys, but we need to check for invades, you know, and holy fuck, how disgusting is that? So you just prepare like, okay, you know, this was just an idea of what you do. It's just the split starts, you know, boom. Okay, this is the check that you need to go over in comms, for example. Okay, what all can happen, how the 3v3s go, how does 3v3 go, whatever. Okay, and that's how you bring structure or whatever. And you can just copy paste it in, boom, and then you can adapt it. And it's like, that's why I said like, okay, you make draft prep for a team comp or whatever. And it's like, yeah, this comp can play for Herald. We're gonna get the slow push in, we're gonna reset, and we play for Herald. But then it's like, why not still just check a 630? Like, is this still like what you're going for?
Mm-hmm.
Because your people will fuck up.
Yes, and of course you should check, but any good player already knows, okay, the game isn't how it's supposed to be, we need to adapt, right? And I agree with you that you should check in the game, but that is a common thing that you have to understand, right? Your job as a coach is not to get people to adapt to mistakes, as I said, right? Your job
Yes, of course.
is to make them play as good as possible. And to make them play as good as possible, you draft to play. You don't play to draft. I think that you never have to talk about like who gets prio here, who does what, right? Because it should be something that is already understood by how we.
But the same people that you're interviewing don't understand it.
Yes, obviously, not all of them, but some of them don't understand that, and they think that you need to communicate that, right? Which is why I will fix it. Right? That is your job. You have to fix some bad habits that some people have gotten from other situations, and your job isn't to make your players play good around mistakes. Good players will adapt to the situation they're in, and that doesn't mean like a checklist, for example, isn't good or checklist isn't needed, but you can't go into the game having to speak about every single prio, having to talk about how we need to play a specific game because we don't understand what we're supposed to do in the game. The supposed to do in the game is situational. Not situational, it should already be understood by every player and every coach going into the game.
Yeah, but the main point I also wanted to just end it on, it's we're not in a Disney movie, okay? No team that you're gonna coach is gonna be like that. That's why I also wanted to have a talk like this also like 1 year after this, because you're gonna get fucking ruined by any team you join. And the players there will fucking ruin you. Because it's just like it's not how it works.
Do you think that I expect my players to play perfectly every game?
No.
Okay. What do you think I expect then? Because I have not said what I expected or what I expect. So what do you think? Since this is what you're saying, do you think I think that they will always play really, really good and there will be no?
No, because by you saying that, like, I don't want to, because earlier you said I don't want to review, like, their mistakes that
No, that's not what I said.
No, wait, just let me finish. Like,
yeah, okay.
To you, it doesn't matter, like, if the mistakes they did or like was just a mechanical fuck up that prevented like your system or whatever.
People are getting ads. People are getting ads. Just wait.
And it's so hard to like formulate your thoughts in a short and constructive way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A long day. Okay. Yeah, but it's actually so good advertisement to subscribe. Guys, subscribe. Come on. Come on. Yeah, but... Man, that's not the point. Okay, ads are over. Do you have it on the system automatically? Because you should just spam them for 10 minutes when you start the stream and then this isn't a problem.
There is like a system in place, but I don't control it.
Which does it automatically if you don't play the ads yourself.
Yeah,
so when there's downtime, you should just spam it.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
Okay, 10 seconds left. Okay, whatever.
Either way, I'm recording it so you can watch it back.
So
yeah, go on.
The thing is that I agree with how you want to do things. It's okay. It's like, okay, we're going to play for Herald. So, for example, how I would do it for a team or how you might do it, whatever, is like, okay, I plan the goals for the week and then I go goals for the day. And I'm like, okay, to practice this, we're going to use like these team comps. You give your players a selection of the comps. If you really try harding, you can even go like you would decide how the enemies usually play the game, whatever, and make like as good prep as possible. And then you can let your players choose the draft they want to do it with the most, whatever. But the way I understood it from what you're saying is that like if the players just do fuck ups that would prevent how your ideal scenario would go, it's to you just like not like I don't know. Like, explain it to me, because, like, will you just not then look at their laning for a few days to make sure that they can even get to your point, or?
No. So, what I would do and what I will do is that for the first 3 weeks or so, it will only be blitz scrims. Because I believe that if you go into the and you start playing the entire game, you take it in bites.
You're completely wasting
Yes,
your time.
exactly. You take it in bites. So with Blitzcrim, we focus on the most essential basics, right? We build the basics and then we keep moving forward.
But Blitzscrims can also be, because like, okay, just to address earlier, you guys with me as went like, teams just do 5 game scrims. Okay, useless, you can't do anything about it. Find a few teams that are actually as serious about this as you, because trust me, they are, and just go like, book your scrims for 1 or 2 months in advance and be like, hey, yo, dude, can we just do a Blitzscrim? You can tell the team how this is useful. Just you can ask multiple teams, hey, you wanna like try to book like double blocks, whatever. Like it's gonna take a lot of effort, but I think
For sure.
Because I agree that these like 5 game scrim blocks are the most disgusting paycheck stealing things ever invented. But yeah, just I agree. Like you should have like just a few review points, and it should mainly be focused on like whatever you're trying to teach them, unless you spotted something really valuable that just like it was a really good example that you can teach them on.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. We never roasted each other, Veigar. I don't know what you think.
He's instigating for views, dude. That's good. Let him.
Okay. No, but I agree with you that there has to be this type of structure, right? There has to be this type of understanding.
Wait, I'm gonna do an intro for your YouTube video, okay?
Okay.
Hidon, you fucking freak! What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, so then now we can put this at the start of the stream, and then add the video, and people will just watch the whole thing because they will look for when it happened.
Yes, true. There
you go, clickbait.
Very good. No, but I agree with you that you obviously should not have 5 games with no possible like structure or whatever you want to call it, right? And if you think that is the way to do things, then you will never really improve as a team. And as I said to you, I'm aware that there's gonna be like a lot of mistakes and a lot of shit things. That is always gonna be happening in a team.
Yeah.
Regardless of how well the structure is. And as you said, we don't live in a Disney movie. And that is true. But if you focus on every single chain reaction that happens in the game all the time, you never get to the actual point. Right? You never get to the actual point of what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to prove on.
So that people who are fucking shit at their job and are here, that they understand what Hidon is trying to say. It's like, you fucked your wave at minute 2, so that minute 3 this went wrong, and minute 4 this went wrong, and then you just go over the whole game. I think that is fucking cringe and you should get fired. But I think what you can do, in a way that you should analyze chain reactions, is like, okay, our comp wanted to do Herald, why the fuck couldn't we? And then you realize that at minute fucking 6, your top laner just did a giga all-in, when he should just have reset or he overstayed or whatever, and then he was just locked in lane for like 2 minutes. And I think in that scenario you should look at chain reactions. Or it can be at minute 7, 7:30, whatever. But I think chain reactions need to be looked like. And it's also in the same way, it's like what coaches do. It's like they just review the game, yeah, this team fight was good, this team fight was bad, this one was good because we won it, okay, go next game. Anyone any questions? Go on. And I think then 2 months in, other teammates go like, okay, this guy needs to get shot in the head. Like, what the fuck is even going wrong in the team? And then you start looking at laning phase, and you just go like, holy shit, these players can't even lane. Of course, these scrims are useless. So I think chain reactions are very important.
Yeah, I
at
mean,
least the one to first ones.
Of course, I think looking at chain reactions that have value to what we're trying to do, right? So let's say my Darius gets solo killed by On. I will just keep using the same example. He gets solo killed by On.
In game. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets solo killed by On, and that changes wave states. But we still get to the point where we can play around what we want to play around, but someone is just a little bit weaker. Then we can still look at it, the valuable things that we're trying to do. We're trying to focus on teamfight patterns.
Sorry, chat is fucking hilarious.
We're trying to focus on teamfight patterns. We're trying to focus on playing around X situation, and that's what we should focus on. Focusing on things that aren't relevant to what we try to practice is what causes burnout and what causes this loss of passion for the game and exhaustion. After you play 5 games, you really want to kill someone in game, right?
Yes. No, IRL.
No, in game. Because there's no structure and there's no understanding of what to do. And you keep looking at things that aren't relevant.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I told you we agree with a lot of things.
Yeah, I know
was
that.
just a complete cunt under the tweet.
I know that.
Because I was
but
like, he's doing what I do, interactions. And I know that wasn't your point, it's just like, you know.
So, Abel said he doesn't necessarily want to do this because it will make people that are bad at their job good at their job and competition harder, but it's good. Competition needs to be better. You see what West is doing at Worlds? That is because Veiga is coaching there. We need to get better people. Yes,
Aren't they getting shit stumped every game?
Who?
You know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
You heard me. Yes, yes, and it still doesn't matter. Okay, yeah. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, and most people under this tweet don't even understand it, you know? Like,
Yes. And what I just wanted to clarify is that to stupid people watching the stream, it looked like you're lumping me in with them. And to people responding to. Because some people responding to actually had a fair take, but you're just lumping everyone under the tweet in as stupid. Which is like why I didn't like it. And I felt a bit offended. I just wanted to
yeah, as I said to you in DMs as well, I know that you understand it, right? I talked to you before, know that you understand it. But the way you just come out, it seems a bit weird. But also, as I said, I understand it, which is why I answer respectfully instead of just going at you, because I know what you mean.
No, the first response was quite dickish, but yeah, sure, I know.
Which one? This one, you think?
Unless you have players and just flip-flop. It's like, I'm one of the few people that doesn't do that, and it's like, what the fuck, why are you saying that? You know?
It was more generalizing it rather than just going at you.
Days, you look very condescending to people. And yes, I deserved it, but like the way you were handling yourself, it's like...
Okay, okay, I disagree a little bit, but I get what you mean.
You went a bit far, that's all. Because like to some people, it's like just...
I was holding back. I was holding back.
I do every time. But it's like... you have to. Because you don't want to be a cunt. Even if you're the smartest guy, you don't want to be a cunt.
Yeah. Of course, but I feel like I was holding back and I was doing...
No, actually, like, how old are you?
22.
Okay, you have room, you know, you have time.
Yeah, but you really think I was being a dick? I don't think I was being a dick.
I think... No, you were. Even to other people responding. Like, it looked really hard to argue with you, or like to get their point across.
Okay. I mean, that's good. I will think about that.
No, because you can think, fuck this guy, but still like make the response nicer. Or go like, I hear you, and then in your head go like, but go fuck yourself, and then go like, but my point is, you know? It's like, that's how you should do it.
You think, like for example, this one, how's it overcomplicating it? And then here I said, I agree, right? I feel like I listened very well to all responses. This one was not, not this one. This one was not towards you necessarily. It was just mainly, a generalization.
Yeah, no, look, just how it was perceived, I might be completely wrong, but it's good advice for anyone listening, you know? And yeah, look, the only thing I just wanted to leave you with, like, before we just end it off, it's like, now it's gonna be, because like, what was it, Howling Wolves shit show, whatever happened to you?
Oh yeah, where me and Nias got completely fucked, yeah?
Dude, that was... Wait, Nias was there as well? Oh, right, he was still a manager back in those days, right?
No,
Jesus.
He was like assistant coach-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing.
No, I'm just saying, because like even there, you saw like the most disgusting side of how like an orc...
Yes, but I was also really disgusting myself. That wasn't necessarily... Like
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, like in that situation, I was really fucking disgusting myself, and I didn't know what I was doing myself. So
yeah, and I know that like going into this year, you have a plan for the structure, how you wanna run the team. You get the budget, you get to decide your players, and I'm still telling you that it's gonna go 10 times worse than you can imagine on the worst day.
I don't think so.
No, just like things that can go wrong. Things can go wrong and they will go wrong.
Yes, I understand that a lot of things will go wrong, and
yes,
believe me, I think I've been in the worst possible situation you can be in. with that one situation there.
Yeah.
So I understand what you mean, but this is obviously something that I've thought about. So you think I just go in thinking it's gonna be a Cinderella story?
No, it's just like same way as you make a structure for this, because a lot of teams, like the really good ones in interviews, okay, it might not be the best system, but they ask you like how you would handle a conflict, for example. And as the head coach, that's also part of your job, you know? Like, players don't realize it or they won't say it. Some might, you know, some don't even realize it, but they basically want a father figure in the team. It's like, because yeah, they will respect you, and if they respect you, you can say like, shut the fuck up. But man, these people just, they need someone, you know? Even in draft, you go like, oh, you're gonna lock this, you know, you give them options, and then they lock it in, and you're like, yeah, you know, remember like those 2-3 scrims ago, you did really good into that guy. You know, that's also part of like what you need to do. So like, I'm just telling you, you know, like if you're not gonna be good at that part of the job, it's gonna make what you're trying to do also a lot harder.
So obviously, you know, this is something I talked about as well before. I think that someone like Yamato Cannon, for example, is super good at motivating his team and being, you know, this father figure or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but let's not get into that.
Yes, but the actual game things he might not be as good as, but
Yes.
he will have other people that are better at that.
Yes.
Which is fine, right? I think as long as you understand that there's, you know, two sides to the coin, and don't just all in on doing one thing, then yeah. I mean, of course, as I said, this is something I think about often.
Yeah,
but
good. Because
I
I'm
think you
just
already know
telling you,
that.
you know, it's like, yeah, look, if you know it, just, you know, like, you know, how would you maybe handle some stuff, whatever.
Yeah,
Like, just reading how voices change, how, like, if someone says something, you know, and he's like, for example, in my team, we had an example, okay? It's like, MDB, the AD carry, just fucked up a play, okay? But like Royal had like an off year, whatever, and he just like he's used to him fucking up because now we're actually teaching him how to play mid lane, and he's like, holy fuck, I had no idea how the game even works.
Yes, and that's
So now he has, yeah.
no, that's like a common thing. I was coaching this team, where the ADC. I was coaching them for a month. The ADC was like every second scrim, it's like I get mind blown, and I realize I didn't understand anything about competitive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's a common thing.
But you know what I'm trying to get at is that those players then will go like they might develop some insecurity, even if they can solo kill a fucking Faker every game in certain matchups, they will still develop some certain insecurities, and they will just think like, oh, this was my fault, probably somehow. So then basically MDB fucks up the whole play, and Royal is there apologizing 3 times.
Yeah.
And then I was like, then MDB gets annoyed, and Royal thought it was actually his fault, and I was like, after the game, like, Royal, you do understand that MDB wasn't mad at you, he was embarrassed at himself. There was nothing you could have done.
Of course, right?
And
but
that stuff you need to recognize as well.
This is common human behavior. You know, I'm not a normal league player. I actually have a life outside of the game. Like, if you can't socialize, then you obviously shouldn't be a head coach.
I know.
My preferred role isn't head coaching. I already said that in the beginning, right? But if you have common human like understanding and you understand emotions, I think it's fine, regardless of wanting to head coach or not.
Yeah, but again, look, we're generalizing just a bit. Because now for a thing that we could flame a lot of coaches, we're saying, oh yeah, it's a basic thing, but it's not. Because even if you have a social life and you're decent at things, like some people just do it better than others. You know, maybe Yamato is just legit the best at that job.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if you have basic social skills, I think for a head coach, there's more that goes into it. So I'm just telling you, you know, because again, even if you do that, you know, okay, you do it well, because, you know, again, I was just giving you like, you know, ideas since you're going into head coaching. I don't know what things you prefer for what you aren't, you know. Because, for example, when I joined Entropic, I was like, I was smart, but holy shit, I was a useless piece of shit. And I learned what to do, you know. Now I'm a good coach. When I joined Entropic, I was bad coach, even if I was smart. So I'm just telling you, you know, first split, second split, that might be a bit hard, you know. So I'm just telling you, you know, you might probably burn out, but just do your best, because, you know, in the first split, you learn the most, really.
Yeah, I mean, all the things you said is already things I've talked or, you know, think about, but it's obviously still great to talk about it regardless. But yeah. Anyways, do you want Jake in here or not? I think not.
No. No.
I think he's just gonna be ill. And if Jake joins, it would just be for the funny aspect of it.
He would tell us to take our shirts off and kiss. That's what he would do.
Yeah, Jake.
We don't need that.
Jake is not human.
What? I have good points. Just keep managing radio, okay, Jake?
Okay.
Okay, look, let's give him 2 minutes, okay? Okay, put him in 2 minutes.
Jake, I'll give you one fuck up. If you fuck up one time, I insta-kick, and then the stream ends there. Jake, this is all on you. It's all or nothing. You're the man of the people.
Hey guys, what's up? Nice to speak to you. It's me, Jake. Right, so I realised...
Look at Hidon's face, he's so ready on the leave code button, he's so fucking ready for it.
Sorry, you've had your time to speak. Let's let a real man talk now. Anyway, I just wanted to sort of say, both of you, in your corroboration of sort of analogous kind of properties, you don't seem to understand the conceit of emotional intelligence required to kind of inhabit the roles that you possess. I'm seeing kind of a disconnect between what Apples is trying to put across. What Apples is basically purporting to kind of be a proponent of is essentially he wants to kind of say that it doesn't matter how by the book you play it, and you sort of just want to be able to, you know, be friends with the players. You can't be friends with your players. I'm a big supporter of this as a thing. You know, when I got Latch on Ruddy Esports, I thought that this guy, you know, he's a methadone addict. There's no point being friends with him. And what Hidon's trying to do is basically say, you know, it's refuting and neglecting the emotional support that you need to show your players. I think you guys need to come to a synthesis of it. I actually agree with both of you in some ways and in others not. If you guys could combine and create like a synthesis of both ideas, which I think the best thing to do would be if you guys could just both get naked and start kissing and start oil wrestling as well.
Alright guys, that's the end of the stream. All right.
Oh god.
Bye.